Knock on the Saints door. Quarterback sneak by Tom Brady to the 43-year-old score. He did. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Now spiked that ball, Tom Brady. Who says I'm 43? He runs right up the gut and scores 6. 7. Handoff, run the ball. Fournette slashes away to the 40, to the 35, to the 30, to the 30, 25, to the 20. Fournette to the 10, 5, 3, 2, 1. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Run the ball, Leonard Fournette. Wow, what a blast up the gut, found daylight, and outran everybody. Fire the cannons, get them going. Bucs win. Bucs win, Bucs win. Fire them cannons.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Swords Up Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about our Week 3 matchup as we're going back on the road to face the Denver Broncos this week. So today I'm going to be talking about the preview to this game and looking at key stats and players to the game. But starting out like I usually do and looking at the injury report on the Buccaneers side, the good news this week is that there are no major injuries this week. As Chris Godwin missed last week's game, like I mentioned in my previous video, with a concussion, and he is expected to play this week against the Broncos. So no bad news on the injury side, only positive stuff. But unfortunately, we can't say the same about the Broncos this week. They are decimated with injuries on both sides of the ball, as they've lost Courtland Sutton for the year with a torn ACL he suffered last week. So after he already missed one game because of an AC joint sprain, he came back, and when he was actually able to play this last week against the Steelers, he tore his ACL in that game, so he's done for the year. Quarterback Drew Lock is also expected to miss 2 to 3 weeks due to a sprained right shoulder. AJ Bouye was put on IR, so he's going to miss at least 3 weeks. And Philip Lindsay is also expected to be out for this week with a turf toe. So disappointing news on the injury front for the Broncos, as they've been one of the teams that has been decimated with injuries the past couple of weeks to begin the season. I don't think I will be doing this very often on this channel, but today I'm going to be highlighting the quarterback that is supposed to be the backup that is ending up starting this week, and that is Jeff Driscoll. So because Drew Lock is expected to miss 2 to 3 weeks because of his sprained right shoulder, the Broncos are expected to roll with Jeff Driscoll for this week's matchup as their starting quarterback. They did sign Blake Bortles just yesterday, but he's not expected to start. It'll be Jeff Driscoll to be expected to start this week against the Buccaneers. And just looking at what Jeff Driscoll did last game in replacement for Drew Lock, as he came in the middle of the first quarter, he had 18 completions on 34 attempts for 256 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. He managed the game quite well against an excellent Steelers defense. He really kept them in this game and gave them a chance to win, but there was a 4th down play where he got sacked, and he really should have gotten the ball out sooner, and it was just not great decision-making in the end from him. But he still nonetheless put up a solid performance coming off the bench last week, so we'll see what he can do in this week against another talented defense like the Buccaneers. So because Courtland Sutton is out for the rest of the year, Jerry Judy, the first-round pick out of Alabama, will be forced to step into the number 1 wide receiver role, and he is quite the talented player himself and should be able to fill the void nicely, albeit he is a rookie, but this will be a great chance for him to light the spark for his NFL career. So far this season in 2020, Judy has caught 8 balls for 118 yards with a 14.8 yards per reception average, so he's been able to make a solid impact as the Broncos' number 2 receiver last week, and had to step into the number 1 receiver role with Sutton out in week 1, and he has done a decent job in the first 2 weeks. Nothing too explosive. Struggled with drops in the first game, but looked solid in the second game, so keep your eye out for him in this one. Also an important player to look out for on the Broncos offense will be Melvin Gordon, with Philip Lindsay expected to miss this game due to a turf toe injury. Melvin Gordon, who was expected to split carries with Philip Lindsay this season, looks to be set for the number 1 running back role in this game. Through 2 games, he's had decent production as well, with 34 carries for 148 yards, averaging 4.4 yards per carry, with 1 touchdown on the ground, in addition to 5 receptions for 22 yards and 1 touchdown, with that receiving touchdown coming in last week's game. So as we've looked at the Broncos offense so far, obviously they're missing key pieces like Sutton, Lindsey, and Locke, but they still have quite a bit of talent on this offensive side of the ball, and I don't think it should be a major concern, even though they are missing quite a few pieces, but they'll still be able to have decent production, and they'll still pose a threat to our defense this week, which has done pretty well in handling the Saints and Panthers offenses in check the first 2 weeks of the season, so we'll see how we do against Jeff Driscoll as a backup quarterback who has come in to replace the injured starter. Now, as the Buccaneers key player this week, I'm going to be highlighting Chris Godwin, and I know I highlighted him in the first game of the season against the Saints, but Mike Evans did really well coming back from his injury in week 1. In week 2, he had 7 receptions for 104 yards and 1 touchdown, so obviously quite the comeback performance, as he was not 100% in the Saints game, dealing with that injury, only had 1 catch for 2 yards and 1 touchdown. But Chris Godwin is going to be highlighted this week because I want to be able to see if he can make the same impact that Mike Evans had last week coming back from dealing with an injury. So far in 2020, of course, he's only played 1 game as he missed last week, but in that 1 game against the Saints, he had 6 catches for 79 yards, averaging 13.2 yards per reception. So started out the season decently. Hopefully he'll be able to repeat the same production that Mike Evans had last week, and hopefully leapfrogging him into having another 1,000-yard season this year as he did the last. So obviously with injuries all over with the Broncos on both sides of the ball, I'm just thinking they're going to be too depleted in this game to really come away with some sort of result. And I know Jeff Driscoll did a good job managing the game last week, but I just don't expect it to carry over into this week. The Broncos obviously had their right tackle opt out, and their left tackle has had his fair share of struggles, so look for our pass rush to dominate in this game, and just the rest of the defense in particular. So I think this will be another defensively dominated game for us, and I think while it will be low scoring, I think the defense will do its job in this game to make sure that this game isn't as close as it is going to be. So I will say that the Buccaneers are going to win this game by a score of 24-10 against the Broncos in week 3. So that is it for me for this week's prediction. Hope you guys enjoy the games in week 3, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching, and go Bucs.